It was 4:18 a.m. when she finally answered her phone. I'd been calling since midnight. 14 calls that went straight to voicemail or rang endlessly into nothing. 14 attempts to reach my wife to know she was safe, to understand where she was. 14 times I'd been ignored like my concern didn't matter. When she finally picked up on call 15, her voice was casual, almost annoyed. What? I'm fine. Stop calling. No apology, no explanation, just irritation that I dared to worry. I should have felt relief hearing her voice. Instead, I felt something colder settle in my chest. Where are you? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She sighed like I'd asked the most exhausting question imaginable. Out. I told you I was going out. Why are you being like this? I hadn't slept. I'd spent 4 hours calling, texting, imagining worst case scenarios, car accidents, hospitals, something terrible that would explain the silence, but her voice held no emergency, no crisis, just the sound of someone who'd been having too good a time to bother responding to her husband. You told me you'd be home by midnight, I said quietly. It's 4:18 a.m. She laughed, actually laughed. Oh my God, you're really keeping track of time. I'm an adult. I don't need a curfew. The laugh did something to me. It wasn't just dismissive, it was mocking. Like my concern was a joke. Like 4 hours of ignored calls was funny. Are you coming home? I asked, already knowing I didn't want the answer. Eventually, she said, and I could hear music and voices in the background. When I'm ready, stop being so clingy. Then she hung up. Didn't say goodbye, didn't say she loved me. Just hung up and went back to whatever was more important than the husband who'd spent 4 hours terrified something had happened to her. I sat there in the dark, phone still in my hand, feeling the last thread of whatever was holding us together snap clean. It was 4:19 a.m. I looked at my recent calls, 15 attempts to reach her. Then I scrolled further back. This wasn't the first time. 3 nights ago, 9 unanswered calls. Last week, 12. The week before, 7. A pattern I'd been ignoring, telling myself it was just her having fun, being young, enjoying life. But at 4:19 a.m., after being called clingy for caring if my wife was alive, I stopped lying to myself. I opened my contacts and found my lawyer's cell number. He'd given it to me 6 months ago after I'd mentioned marital problems during a casual conversation. If you ever need to talk, day or night, call me. I mean that. I'd never called until 4:20 a.m. He answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. This is Tom. I took a breath. Tom, it's me. I need to file for divorce today. As soon as your office opens, there was a pause. I heard him sitting up, sheets rustling. Are you sure? It's 4:20 in the morning. These decisions made at this hour sometimes feel different in daylight. I looked at my call log again. 15 attempts. I'm sure, I said. I've been sure for weeks. I was just waiting for something to make it undeniable. She finally answered my 15th call at 4:18 a.m. and called me clingy for worrying. That's undeniable enough. Tom was quiet for a moment. Okay, I'll draft emergency papers. Can you come to my office at 9? I'll be there at 8, I said. We talked for 12 minutes. He took notes, asked questions, confirmed details. By 4:32 a.m., I had an appointment and a plan. I hung up and sat in the silence of our bedroom, feeling strangely calm. No more waiting, no more wondering, no more being called clingy for basic human concern. At 8 a.m., I was in Tom's office signing papers. He'd worked fast, pulling together a petition for dissolution that covered everything we'd discussed. Once you sign this, I file it today. She'll be served within 48 hours. Are you ready? I signed without hesitation. My signature looked steady on the page, nothing like the shaking hands I'd had at 4:18 a.m. when I'd called her for the 15th time. She came home at 11:37 a.m., walking in like nothing had happened. I was sitting at the kitchen table with coffee, paperwork spread in front of me. She glanced at me barely. Morning, she said, heading for the bedroom. I didn't respond. She stopped, turned back. Are you seriously still mad about last night? You need to get over this jealousy thing. I looked up at her. I'm not jealous, I'm done. She rolled her eyes. Oh, here we go. Another dramatic speech about how I don't respect you. I slid a paper across the table. Not a speech, a petition for divorce. I filed it 3 hours ago. You'll be officially served tomorrow, but I thought you'd want to know. The color drained from her face. What? She grabbed the paper, scanned it, looked at me with something between shock and disbelief. This is real? You actually filed for divorce? I nodded. At 9:03 a.m., it's time-stamped right there at the bottom. She sank into a chair, paper trembling in her hands. Because I came home late. Because I didn't answer your calls. I kept my voice level. Because you ignored 15 calls from your husband over 4 hours and then called me clingy when you finally answered. Because this is the fourth time this month you've done this. Because when I told you I was worried, you laughed. I didn't mean it like that, she stammered. I was just having fun. I didn't think you'd actually. I interrupted her. That's the problem. You didn't think. You didn't think about how I'd feel. You didn't think I'd eventually get tired of being treated like my feelings don't matter. You didn't think there'd be consequences. She started crying. This is insane. You can't divorce me because of one night. I pulled out my phone, opened my call log, and showed her. Not one night. Here's last Tuesday. 9 unanswered calls. Here's last Thursday. 12. Here's Saturday. 7. Should I keep going? She stared at the screen, her confident facade crumbling. I didn't realize, she whispered. You didn't want to realize, I said quietly. Because if you'd paid attention, you would have had to change. And you didn't want to change. You wanted to do what you wanted when you wanted, and have me just accept it. I'm done accepting it. She reached across the table for my hand. I pulled back. Please, I'll answer every call. I'll come home earlier. I'll do whatever you want. I shook my head. I don't want you to answer because you're scared I'll leave. I wanted you to answer because you cared if I was worried. That ship has sailed. When? She asked, voice breaking. When did you stop caring? I thought about it. Probably around call number 8 last night. By call 12, I'd made peace with it. By call 15, when you called me clingy, I'd already decided. I called my lawyer at 4 a.m. 18 minutes before you bothered to answer. The realization hit her. You'd already decided even before you talked to me? I nodded. The fact that you took 4 hours to answer told me everything I needed to know. The call itself just confirmed it. She put her head in her hands, sobbing. I can't believe you're throwing away our marriage over phone calls. I'm not throwing it away, I said, standing up. You did every time you ignored me, every time you made me feel crazy for caring, every time you chose whatever you were doing over basic communication, you threw it away piece by piece. I'm just acknowledging it's already gone. I walked to our bedroom and started packing. She followed, pleading, promising, bargaining. I packed methodically, ignoring the noise. By 2:00 p.m., I was moved into a hotel. By 5 p.m., she'd called me 43 times. I didn't answer any of them. At 7:00 p.m., she texted, Now you know how it feels. I replied once, No, I answered on call 15. You're on 43. There's a difference. The divorce was finalized 74 days later. She contested it initially, claiming I was being rash. That one incident wasn't grounds for divorce. My lawyer presented the phone records. Months of ignored calls. The pattern was undeniable. The judge granted the divorce without hesitation. At 4:18 a.m., my wife finally answered her phone after ignoring me for 4 hours and called me clingy. At 4 a.m., 18 minutes before she answered, I'd already called my lawyer and filed for divorce. She thought she had all the time in the world to treat me however she wanted. She was 18 minutes too late to learn she was wrong. Sometimes the most important calls aren't the ones they finally answer. They're the ones you make when you stop waiting for them to care.